On this channel, I mostly talk about art and mental health, but today we're going on a side street to talk about minimalism because I think that this topic is super relevant to mental health and art. I started studying minimalism because of a book I was reading about abundance, and it talked about how getting rid of things makes space for greater things that are more meaningful to show up into your life. If anything, it's a metaphor, but it got my mind to thinking, what would my life be like with less material possessions? I wouldn't say I'm a natural minimalist or that I'm even your stereotypical minimalist. I think that I've been almost forced into minimalism because of the extensive amount of traveling that I've done and moving, maybe not even traveling too far, but just moving. In my art practice, I have so many pieces of art, and that's not something I'm going to get rid of. It's not something I'm going to throw away or destroy. So it makes me wonder, what other areas of my life could I downsize in just to kind of balance that out and make me feel more spacious? I love the word spacious. If you really sink into that word, what does that mean for you? Let me know in the comments. I've done one other video about minimalism, and I would say the biggest thing that's changed for me since then is having an understanding of when I take it too far. Because it's nice to have a tidy space. It's nice to have that empty surface that you can just look at and let your mind go blank. But when it becomes obsessive, like everything must be clean all the time, I can't have any trinkets here, I can't have anything here, then it can really backfire on you because even though you have less, you might feel even more cluttered, and that's because your attention is going to it. And one of the beautiful things about minimalism is it is about the ability to direct your focus away from things that are meaningless onto things that matter. So if you use minimalism in such a way that, like me, caused me to feel like I needed everything to be so perfect, then it can be a detriment. And what's the point? I'm about to kind of do another purge of my possessions because I'm gonna move again. And honestly, it feels so good to get rid of stuff. But I know that one of my biggest challenges when it comes to minimalistic living is that I tend to buy things and collect things and want stuff. And a huge contributing factor to anyone's success is contentment. Being content with what you already have. And for me, a wisdom comes into it about how to manage my money, manage my spending, manage what's coming in to my life. And knowing when to draw the line. Realizing when I'm making a purchase just because maybe I'm upset or I'm looking for that super duper chemical feeling of happiness. When already, if I sit with myself, I have everything I need. And I love that practicing this practice of minimalism causes us to understand that we already have everything we need, which ultimately is true riches. Because it doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter how confident you are. If you don't even enjoy it and recognize it and take credit for how far you've already come. If you're just chasing the next big thing. Because we're never satisfied with what we think we want. We always want more. It's just a natural part of being. And so we have to learn how to balance out that reality with what's healthy for our mind. So as I start my next little minimalist journey purge, I fell into the trap of buying some organizing materials. I mostly wanted these totes because I teach art classes and I have a lot of student supplies. But the totes I've been using don't even have lids. They're all different sizes. Some are so big that once I put everything in them, they're even too heavy to carry. When I started this decluttering practice years ago, I ended up getting rid of a ton of the extra art supplies that I had to share with other people. Something I learned from getting rid of art supplies in the past was that I don't really want to do it. And if I don't want to do it, I don't have to. It's good to have art supplies. It's good to have extra art supplies to share with my nieces and nephews, to share with my art students in a class. There are things that are so valuable, beyond gold, to each of us personally. And when you recognize what that is, just give yourself a free pass and say, I don't even have to downsize on these things that I love. When it comes to the artwork I've already created that's for sale, I can also take that note in my mind of, these are not material possessions that I'm holding on to. They are available for purchase. These things are for sale. So if you want to buy some of my art, go to my website. That just gives me a little more peace of mind around those possessions. And I do have artwork that other artists have made, and even though it might take up a little space, what's so great about art is that it's on your walls. It's not like you're stuffing it in a cabinet or a closet never to be seen. And I take that back too, because I noticed that a true art collector actually does have a lot of art in storage. One of the big things I hear from people when they don't want to purchase my work is that they don't have wall space. And I love swapping out art. And that's what collectors do too. They'll give art to shows, galleries, museums. So one of my biggest challenges of things to get rid of are my books. I read a lot. And I also take footnotes on the books I read. So I'll reread books, and instead of rereading the whole thing, maybe just look at the dog-eared pages. But I've grown out of a lot of things, and I've gotten rid of books that I've regretted getting rid of in the past, so what could it hurt to just get rid of a few more? One of the huge blocks that comes up for me and pretty much anybody that wants to practice decluttering is, what if I regret getting rid of it? And I can tell you what, I have gotten rid of a lot of things that later I've regretted getting rid of. But being able to shed that part of my identity, or even just get rid of the burden, the material weight. I mean, it weighs something. You gotta pick it up, you gotta move it. Not to mention the clarity that could come in your mind. And I do believe that is one of the biggest reasons that going to Montana to get my art was such a priority for me, is because these are material possessions that I have that are pulling my energy from my mind in some subconscious way. When we can wrap our head around our material possessions, there is so much more sense of control, which is more calming to our mind and nervous system. Not to mention frees up our physical energy of lifting things and carrying things, and decision fatigue of what do I wear, and what will someone think if I get rid of the gift they gave me, and all these other things that come into our mind. I've been an artist for my whole life, but as I started doing it professionally and wanting to move out of a town and knowing that I had so many canvases that were heavy or bulky, it was kind of a weight on my mind. What am I going to do with all this stuff? I have too much stuff. It almost leaked into my art practice of making me think I didn't want to make more art because where would I put it? So I guess that goes back to my point of, you don't want to take minimalism so far that it's actually taking away from your happiness. The whole point of it is just to feel better and be happier and pursue the things you love and have more of your awareness directed towards your passions, not steal from it. So it's good to recognize when it's crossed that line. And it just goes to show how we can get in our head about it. Getting in my head about everything must be perfectly clean all the time, or every little trinket needs to be out of sight. That is extremist. Getting in my head about, well, I have too much art, I must be making too much, there must not be buyers, all these things that aren't true. It's just a system inside of our brain. And of course, it's trying to keep us safe, trying to keep us comfortable. And the thing about having less possessions is that it is uncomfortable sometimes. Regretting what you got rid of, you gotta sit with that. And that's gonna teach us. It's always gonna teach us. Minimalism is important for artists because we have a lot of material possessions. Like I said, I'm not only juggling my own supplies, but also my business supplies, which includes those art class supplies. Getting a good sense on our material possessions is super relevant for artists, because if you are a making artist, visual arts or sculptures or anything of that matter, you need physical items to create that. And then you have an end product that you have to do something with, that either you give away or you wait for it to sell. It's like, my husband is a musician, so he has his guitar and that's all he needs. And when he plays his music and creates his art, it just goes into the ether. It goes into my ear, as well. It goes into other people's brains. But it's not something that is tangible. Yet, even in his creative practice, he has a lot of written notes or recordings that he has to go through, because decluttering isn't only about physical possessions anymore. Now it's also about digital. All the files on our computer, all the files on our phone, are they neatly organized? As an artist, with the photographs of my art, I have to go into my computer, click, click, click. I can find the art I need. I don't want to go searching for it all jumbled. I have it so organized, and that's because of someone I met who taught me how to do that, and he taught me how to use this camera. So thankful to have met him, because his tips of organizing my files into art and not art, and then inside of those folders, important and not important, and then inside of those folders I can have original art or stuff for my business, stickers, product images. All these things have given me my time back, because it's so easy to find an image to upload to my website, to find an image to send to someone who's interested in my work, to find an image to put in this video. I think beyond just having less things, I love organization. As a kid, my mom always told me that that was one of my skills. Maybe she was just trying to get me to organize the Tupperware drawer. I don't know. But having my art supplies organized not only makes me more creative, allows me to find what I need without having to look for it, but it's also just visually so pleasing. And as a visual artist, having a space that's visually inviting is just bliss. All growing up, my parents loved to move our furniture around, and I loved to share different rooms with different sisters, because I have 5 sisters. So we were always constantly in this flux of change, even though we were pretty stable and settled in the home we were in. But with traveling and moving, it requires me to stay in this space of uncertainty, which isn't always easy. And a lot of people don't want to change. They don't like change. It's uncomfortable. It's weird. Your brain wants to go throw the piece of trash in the trash can that's been there for years, and all of a sudden it's now over there. But without that break in your habits, who's to say that you would have ever given a second thought to such a mundane thing of throwing away a piece of trash? And what if a thought about such mundane behaviors sparked some wonderful inspiration, or caused you to be more aware of your thoughts? Now, I know I've said a lot in this video so far, but there is one more piece, and this doesn't really have anything to do with material possessions, but it is about less is more. And that is the area of our calendar and our schedule and our timing and our rushing around and busyness. It's not a healthy lifestyle to be going from one thing to the next. It's nice to have a pause and a break, time to meditate, time to relax, time to rest. Taking things off of our schedule. Some people use busyness like a numbing substance for their brain so that they don't have to think about the important things that need their attention in their life, or the important things that need their attention in their heart, in their psyche. If we use material possessions and money to find our worth and confidence and self-image and social status, then it's no different than just being extra super busy and being caught up in this almost like a matrix of everything that's not important. Yes, we need money to survive. Yes, sometimes you have to do the extra work even when you're tired because people are counting on you or you need the finances. It's not always about the surface being completely clean. It's about our mindset around it. It's about our awareness around it. If you're aware that you're so busy, then it gives you a chance to be more mindful of true rest, such as setting down your phone at night and just staring at the ceiling and breathing instead of just, doom scrolling. And is that where you're at right now? Like, how many YouTube videos have you watched? Maybe this is your first one of the session, but what if it's enough? What if this is your 10th in this sitting? Maybe it's time to give your brain a break. And if you do take a break from digital consumption, maybe instead of rushing into the next thing, just give yourself a 5-minute timer to breathe and have that segment in between one thing and the next. Well, I truly enjoyed letting these words just flow out of me. I didn't script this video. I just spare the moment out of the excitement and inspiration of these new totes I bought has brought me to this moment of sharing with you, and if you enjoyed it, let me know because that means a lot to me. Engage with others in the comments. Maybe no one's commenting yet, but you could be the first. Maybe someone could reply to your comment and give you some encouragement down the road. As artists, we need each other, and we need the inspiration to stay on track with our goals. Until next time, peace.